No, it's fine.
We're live.
Hello, welcome everyone. Thanks for being here. My name is Rebecca Grimm, and I would like to open with a pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and move to the roll call.
Trustee Grimm,
Here.
trustee Jesberger, absent of trustee Clark, fiscal officers here, township administrator and superintendent of public works.
Here.
Chief of police.
Here.
And you're helping for roads. All right, our lead in our roads department, in public works.
All right, our next meeting is going to be August 13th, 2024 at 999 Chambers Road at 6 p.m. And I would like to make a motion to accept the agenda with flexibility. Second.
Trustee Grimm,
Yes.
trustee Jesberger,
Yes. And then this next item is just a general discussion of the new JEDZ consulting group. I just kind of wanted to get it, so we haven't talked about it in a while, so I didn't know if there was a status update or anything that could be provided.
They're still working together for the advertisement to hire a firm for the JZ. We got there'll be a JZ board meeting on the 24th of this month in Grandview Heights. We may have something together then to go out for advertisement for hire.
Do we have a job description or anything that can be looked at?
There had been something sent out, and it's been tweaked a little bit, just needed to be finalized.
Do you have any question? No. Perfect.
The next JEDZ board meeting is going to be here. And for folks that don't know, it stands for Joint Economic Development Zone, and it's related to our income tax.
Thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the fiscal officer.
Requesting a motion to approve the bills.
So moved. Second.
All right, trustee Grimm,
Yes.
trustee Jesberger,
Yes.
request a motion to approve payroll.
So moved. Second.
Trustee Grimm,
Yes.
trustee Jesberger. Motion to create Fund 2907, Case Road Area Stormwater Improvements.
So moved. Second.
And the following two other motions below this relate to that. This is, we got a grant, which is great, and when we get a large grant, not a $500, but a substantial grant, we need to create another fund, so that's why these three motions are here. Trustee Grimm.
So the Case Road Stormwater Improvements Project, when is it gonna start? Do we know? Do you have any idea? Or is there anything we can kind of give a general understanding of what the funds are gonna be used for?
Since we just recently got awarded the grant, the engineer's office is now in the design process. They're trying to figure out where to tie the storm drains in and create that. It'll probably be, I'm expecting the design may be done by the end of this year, and go out for bid next year. Maybe sometime next year, the project will get started.
And it's just general to help with drainage on Case Road, yes?
Case Road, Dresden, Minnie, there's an area over there that we're gonna try to pick up on, trying to get a main trunk line and stuff installed, and maybe we can expand out from there. I believe it's gonna be like 43 catch basins installed, so we're getting rid of the old little T-pipes with the little drains in it. We're gonna put a 2x2 boxes, catch basins, to get some volume, nice inlets to take care of the flooding issues over there when it rains heavy.
Thank you.
Okay, trustee Grimm,
Yes.
trustee Jesberger.
Yes.
Next, motion to amend the 2024 appropriations by the following, increasing this brand new fund to 907-760-790. Other capital outlay in the amount of $1,116,520.
Second.
Trustee Grimm,
Yes.
trustee Jesberger.
Yes.
And a lot of that is coming from a grant. So I don't want to say what our portion is, but just wanted to let folks know that includes the grant support. So motion to transfer, well, this is our amount of that. This is probably what we're paying. Motion to transfer $354,996 from the general fund to the Case Road Area Stormwater Improvements Fund.
So moved. Second.
Trustee Graham?
Yes.
Trustee Desberger?
Yes.
And then lastly, there we the May fiscal report. We began May with $11,206,278.68. Revenue in the month of May was $286,489.30. Expenditures in the month of May was $559,725.95, leaving us with an overall fund balance of $10,933,042.03.
Thank you.
So motion to approve the May fiscal report.
Second.
Trustee Graham?
Yes.
Trustee Desberger?
Yes.
Thanks.
And we'll go ahead and move on to committee and team reports.
For the Clinton Township Community Health Action Team, the chat, for the month of June in the produce markets, we served 340 families, which was about 1,111 individuals. I don't have the pounds of food for both of the markets, but we can get that from Chief Rayleigh. We do have a few upcoming events. We are having a back to school event on July 27th. And we have 2 community safety days. September 14th from 12 to 4 will be on the east side. And then September 21st will be on the west side from 11 to 1 p.m. with more details coming.
I'm sorry, could you say those times again? Because they're not the same.
September 14th will be 12 to 4 p.m. And then September 21st will be 11 to 1 p.m.
I'll just quickly talk about our beautification committee report. I did hear back finally from Kim Arnold. I forwarded, I don't want to talk about it today because I'd rather talk about it when all 3 trustees are here, but I forwarded the Kim Arnold report this morning to you, so you can take a chance to look at it, just to kind of get a general idea of what, we can have a general discussion of how we want to proceed forward with 99 Chambers improvements. The construction has started over on the west side. I don't know why I always forget east and west. So that's really exciting. They're doing a great job. It's been going super fast. They told me that they should be done with at least Rhoda by the end of the week. So pretty excited about that. We'll see. And then, do we have any updates on that?
We've created a holding pattern. I'm going to be reaching out and sending out all the participants emails to have them send in their July blooms, if you will. We got all the big floor pictures of everybody's gardens and yards a few months ago, and now that everything's starting to bloom, I want to get more pictures with everything in full bloom. And then the judging is September, so we need some volunteers for judging. All the information's on our website, clintontownship.org, right on the front page.
Can you still recommend people like I still want to recommend my neighbors?
Yes. I'll show you how after the meeting. Yep, absolutely.
Do we have any budget committee updates?
August 6th, the budget working group will meet here at 4 p.m. and I'll try to email residents who've attended that in the past. Bobby's our faithful resident, but anybody can join. Be like Bobby.
Wait, what is the date?
August 6th.
One time?
Sorry, that's the night out. 8th, August 8th. We rescheduled it to August 8th, which is a Thursday,
Thank you.
What is the time?
4 p.m.
And that's
Yeah, that's here.
And that moves us to administration.
Okay, I've already submitted my monthly report to the board. I had a couple of highlights. I had meet with the engineering staff of Franklin County to walk through the Case Road Stormwater Improvement Project for the OPWC grant. I don't know if everybody remembers that we just denied the OPWC grant at first, and we applied for a small government grant, awarded it, and then monies was funneled back through to OPWC, so we're back to the OPWC grant for that. I attended the pre-construction meeting for the paving this year with the Franklin County engineers and Shelley and Strausser and all that's involved. Walked through the 999 chambers with Kim Arnold and Rebecca to go over some issues over there for opening up to the public use. We had a meeting with the COCIC and the county to address the stormwater issue on one of the new homes that they built on Ferris Road. It seemed like the contractor, when they dug the basement and stuff, they hit a 15-inch stormwater line that they failed to tie back in, and it was causing some flooding for the neighbors in that area. So it's been resolved and tied into the main storm drain, so that should be working fine now. And we ended up getting a phone call on a resident on Case Road about a storm. There was water in his yard, and his neighbor told him it looks like they filled the ditch and stuff in, so we had cleaned the ditch out with the backhoe, had the county come in and blow out a storm drain to get that open back up so it would relieve the water laying in the one resident's yard. Then the repairs was made out front to the stone pillars where it was hit from the Columbus Fire Department. South of Columbus and the property owner over on 1150 Chesapeake Avenue. They're trying to develop that property in the future, and we're in the discussions with that now. That's all I have for my report. Any questions? Next thing I have, there'll be a scrap tire take back this Saturday, July 13th from 9 a.m. till noon, 3820 Cleveland Avenue. We'll have the gate open out here in the front, and you drive in the back, and the Public Works Department in Franklin County will end up taking the tires and stuff that you have and put them into a trailer and getting rid of them for us. So if anybody has any used tires or anything like that they want to get rid of, I think there's like a 10 tire limit, so we're not gonna, it's not for commercial, it's for residential. The next I have a resolution declaring the necessity for levying a tax exceeding the 10 mil limitation and requesting the county auditor to provide certain information pursuant to Ohio Revised Code section 5705-.03B. And I have that resolution for all of you.
So moved. Second.
Trustee Brand?
Yes.
Trustee Johnson?
I know you guys are probably aware, but unfortunately the police levy failed. But there's a couple of millage that are coming up for renewal. So this would be to help pass the millage renewal at the current rate to see if it's a much less of an ask. So we're gonna hopefully see if that gets passed. It's kind of, did I get that right? Is that the general gist?
Yeah, it's to replace some of the four levies, the millage isn't going to change. But this is just to reach out to the auditor's office to go ahead and get the information, so in the next meeting that we can present it and pass it, so it'll be on the ballot.
So stay tuned for the next episode of Township Trustee Meetings. And then you guys can learn more.
We already did a roll call.
Oh, okay. Okay, next thing I got is, we got a letter from the auditor's office about fraud prevention training for all employees. It takes about 10 minutes to do it. I did it today. Some other employees done it. I'd like to, all employees have to do it, elected officials too. Like to maybe reach out to all the department heads and have them kind of oversee their employees and make sure everybody does this and have it reported back, who has and who hasn't. Because I think we got,
By September, there's a date in September, but let's say by September.
yeah, so we keep up on that. Does that sound good to the board? Okay. Then, when I got back from vacation this week, I had a box that came in from Tree City USA. I know we joined Tree City USA back in 2021, and they sent a nice little plaque to us for being a member. We'll have to find a place out in the lobby to hang it. I know this was good. Jane Sarah, she pushed for this, so we got that taken care of.
Does everybody know what Tree City USA is?
Tree City USA, it's like a status. If we spend so much money on planting trees, maintaining trees, grooming trees, removing bad trees, that we end up with this status and recognition throughout the nation.
And you can get free trees too. It's on our website. If you want more information, I'll talk to you after the meeting.
I can't remember what study Trustee Sears showed us, but there's a correlation between the amount of trees and economic growth. So it was one of her pushes when she was here was to increase the amount of trees and just the general overall look of the township in hopes that it would help stem growth.
Next thing I got, using flexibility, I got 2 more items under administration. Next one is discussion about home rule, limited home rule for the township. I know there's been a little discussion the last few weeks about it. Talking with our attorneys and stuff, I think we need to have maybe a question and answer session at one of the meetings, in your meetings in the future here, to discuss that if the board would like to do that. Because I know, talking to the attorneys, it's been discussed the last 8-9 years, off and on. And there's some benefits and some, I'm sure there's pros and cons both ways about moving to a limited home rule township. But I think it'd be nice to inform the public, because this is going to be a public decision. It's something that will be put on the ballot and be voted upon. It's something that the board just can't say, yeah, we want to do this, or we don't want to do this. Be enough signatures, it'll be on the ballot.
So when was this brought up? Like recently?
It's been in the background of discussion at least the last 8 years. There was a longer meeting that I think Don Brochus even attended at 999, 6-8 years ago. I personally looked into it in my personal time, and we'd need a 98 ballot signatures to put it to the voters, and that's not gonna happen in the next week. So it wouldn't be on the ballot this fall unless other people go out and gather 100 signatures in a few days. So I've learned a lot in my personal time that elected officials can't say whether I don't want to act in my elected official way about this, but yeah. I don't think it's going to happen this fall, is all I'm saying.
I think I'm just a little more, I don't know, taken back because I didn't realize that something like this was, I guess, back on the table.
I wouldn't say it's even happening. Like, it's never really been on the table.
But I feel like discussions have already been had,
Yeah.
and it's just like kind of what we've been going-
About that about 10 years ago.
But it's kind of like what we've been going through the last 7 months is something can't be done unless the board decides.
If enough signatures are gathered, they're presented to you, and then you would pass a resolution, not approving it, but
No, I
acknowledging.
understand that, but I think where I'm kind of taken back is we're in a board meeting and this was just brought up and I didn't know that this was like active, like that there's been discussions with our attorney. Like there was no heads up, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
I just think that in general, there's a lack of communication that's been happening.
I looked into it starting yesterday, so.
I just wanted to say that, how many years ago was that, 6 or 7 years ago? There was a home rule petition that was presented to one of the trustees who said she never saw it and it got lost. And so it kind of, I mean, we presented a petition to the trustees.
2017.
That what it was?
My recollection, that was
And the trustees swore she never saw it and it got lost, so this is not, it hasn't been, we keep bringing it up because it's something that a number of us think would be something to help the township. And now that we've got a different board, it can also help the township too.
But my recollection of the 2017 effort was it was a public opinion, not a petition pulled by the Board of Elections. So at any point, citizens can gather signatures to say, I don't like this stop sign. You know, it's not legally binding, but you can do that. A legally binding petition is pulled from the Board of Elections, and then volunteers make a committee and they try to get valid signatures. It's presented to this board. I'm not sure if you have the power to say, I don't like this, make it go away, or this is up to the voters to move forward. I'm not really sure. I just know that we're not making the deadline to do it now.
You know, there's a couple steps in the process. If we want to learn about it, we can get Julie to show up, or Pete Griggs will come in and do an educational session with some questions and answers for the board and the residents. If it's something that, think about it and something that you want me to reach out to them to set up, we can do that. But right now, I know I talked with David Clark about it last week, and it seems like there's some movement on it. So that's why I thought, after talking to Julie, I need to bring it up to the board, that we need to discuss this, and it's got to be discussed out in the open with the public, so. And it's just time to bring it up in the discussion.
So just so we're clear, because I don't want any of this coming back on me that I am not open to the idea. I'm open to a lot of stuff. My mind is never always made up. The point that I'm trying to make is a little bit more of a notice besides one of the trustees saying, hey, this is a great idea, let's do this. And then whoever facilitated the discussion with the attorney, I guess just more of a heads up, because we're in the summer months, so we all know we only meet once. And at least 2 of us have full-time jobs.
And this is also my first time doing that.
Right, exactly. So, of course, I want to learn more about it. If it's something that's going to benefit, our residents, why not learn more about it?
Because there may
But
be,
it's just that frustration that,
Where is this coming?
give or take, if someone else would have done this, excuse my language, all hell would have broken loose about disrespect and whatnot. So just making that clear.
Well, I think it's a good idea to look at this after we go back to 2 meetings a month, maybe in September, October, November. Because I think there is a lot of interest, and I personally wanted to put some time into it. And it's a complicated thing to consider. So I think we would all benefit from learning more. But it's also something that it's up to the citizens to do and start and make happen. So you're catching up to what this citizen did yesterday.
okay, after talking with Julie, there's some avenues to go down for research and talk to some other townships and things that have done this recently, so Some, a lot of concern is with the police department, how the funding stuff works there, because there's going to be some changes there. Maybe reach out to Perry Township and talk with them to see how they accomplished and what affects with the departments.
And wouldn't we have to also go after all of the levies that the police have and resubmit them?
Got to change all the verbiage on
We
them.
have to have a police district instead of what we currently have, so yeah.
To,
And then we would have municipal court costs where we don't have those now, potentially costs for the Frank County Jail.
So that's things that, once we get some information, maybe get the attorney here and discuss the pros and cons and inform the board, inform the public also.
It's up to the public to get enough signatures, and it's up to the public, if it makes enough signatures, and if it gets to ballot, they would have to approve it or not. So it is definitely a complicated dance between the board and citizens, and it's a lot to consider.
well, there are quite a few of the residents, myself included, who have been involved in the township for many years, that ever since this was first brought up a number of years ago, have talked about it off and on. And it just we haven't had anybody to really get the thing going again and all. And if this was brought up again by a trustee who is also a resident of the township and has the right to do something like this, then I think that's fine, because the whole thing eventually is going to be up to the voters. It's not up to the board of trustees, it's up to the voters of the township whether they want this or not.
Everything that I've heard, a trustee is not allowed to lead this. No elected official is allowed to lead this initiative.
We're allowed to I don't know if lead is the right word, but we're allowed to participate.
You mean they're not even allowed to talk about anything like this?
Well, my understanding is that it has to come from the residents. It can't come from an elected official.
Don't have the
It's never coming from one or four.
What?
They have a right to talk about it, but not to run the campaign.
Okay, well, this person is running the campaign. We don't have a campaign at this point, we're just talking about it.
Okay, we move forward. The next thing I have is just recognize that Deborah Smothers coming up on her anniversary on the 11th. So I'll be doing a evaluation on her here soon. Just want to recognize her service over the last year. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next is, since Brian's not here, I'll going to handle the fire department's section. He is getting his monthly report together. He says he'll send it out to the board tomorrow, so I don't have anything to read off that. But he has a motion to hire Connor Deutz, Luke Bennett, Elizabeth Dominguez, and Chase Coleman as part-time firefighters, EMTs, at $14 an hour pending backgrounds and physicals, to be paid from line item 2111-220-100 and 2281-230-100.
So moved. Second.
Trustee Grant?
Yes.
Trustee Jesberger?
Yes.
That's all the fire acts.
We shall move on to our police report.
First thing I have is a monthly report for the police department. For the month of June, we took 619 calls for service. We had 2 DOAs that were drug related. 4 stabbings, responded to 3 shots fired calls, 1 shooting, 3 robberies. And actually, I went down to stolen vehicles. We only had 11 last month. And kind of ties into Operation Unity, which we had last month on the 14th. I have some of those figures here for that day. So folks that didn't know, Operation Unity, we do that once a year. It involves other township police departments, Frank County Sheriff's Office, SIU, and some other agencies. We had ATF and US Marshals up here for that day. Clinton Township officers, we did work a warrant early in the morning with US Marshals Service apprehending a murder suspect out of Arizona. The other arrest was actually with Sergeant Burr, Legal Officer Wallace, another homicide suspect out of Texas that we apprehended. 123 traffic stops were made that day, 70 citations were issued. We had 13 felony arrests, 18 misdemeanor arrests. Recovered 5 stolen weapons, one of those having a full auto switch, it was a Glock. And also we had, I believe, 3 vehicle pursuits that day. That went from 10 in the morning till 11 in the evening. So we recovered cocaine, fentanyl, and 8.1 grams of methamphetamine. So overall, I think it was a more successful year than we had last year. Moving on, I'd like to have a discussion about record Stephanie Cassidy Cadero. Her anniversary date was in May, and I would ask the board on her review for a 3%, which is typically what we've given her the last 3 years.
Is this a discussion or a motion?
If we want discussion, we can have executive session. I just thought we were bringing these forward now instead of all the executive sessions. I'm more than happy to discuss.
So, I feel like since we're not ready for this one, can we do that one, or do we have to?
You know, this guy, the 121 Gs.
The degree of control that it has, the I-95.
You guys want to move an executive session to discuss right now?
No, we'll do
Okay.
it then.
Last information I have is National Night Out will be Tuesday, August the 6th. That'll be 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. here at the Township Hall. Several different organizations are assisting sponsoring that, and we expect another 500 people this year. We roughly had 500 last year. And we've got stuff, back to school stuff for kids. There'll be food, some entertainment, and the fire department has challenged the police department on a 3-on-3 kind of basketball tournament. So our coach Burr for the police department here is going to facilitate all that for our site. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
So for the Public Works monthly report, I'll let Cody Lester, our crew leader, handle that.
Everybody hear me? All right, I've already submitted my monthly report to the board, but here's just something I wanted to highlight. The crew chipped 19,640 pounds of brush. The crew has helped Franklin County with cleaning out the drain pipes, and the crew laid 3 tons of coal mix in the month of June to fix potholes.
Okay, what I have up next is an update for the 2024 paving, which I'm sure a few of your residents already know that's underway over to on the University View. We got a late notice when the project was going to start. I apologize for that. The residents pretty much got the same notice that we got at the same time, but they end up with, maybe a 6-day notice before they started. They started Monday. They're still working on the milling. Once they get done milling the streets, they gotta go and put a first layer on that's more of a structure binding. Then if I finish it off with wear course. So hopefully we'll have new roads over there by the end of the month.
I know that I'm gonna sound like a broken record, because I've talked about this about 30,000 times. But, when I started as a trustee in 2021, 2022, Dave and I started at the same time. And, back then we decided to look into the quality of all the different roads. And we did a roads project just to see where our gradients were. If you want to see the report, it's really neat and interactive. No, it's not interactive anymore. It used to be interactive, but it's available on the website. So if you have any questions on where to find the project, feel free to reach out to our lovely Deborah over here. She'll be happy to assist. But we decided, we looked into it and we broke the roads. And in general, we are good to poor. So the whole township as a whole does not have, you want to be in at least excellent. And so since we're mostly good to poor, it's overall, the township is really under where it needs to be when it comes to roads. And they, as the residents know, they haven't been updated in about 30 years. So the purpose of what we did is, Dave kindly broke this into 7 sections to save money up for the township and on the taxpayers. Just so that we can have these all broken down in 7 different sections. Last year, we did the first section. This year, we're doing the second section, which is over on the view. And then we're hoping to stagger out all of the repairs over a 10-year period, just so that when it comes to, you're really supposed to look at the quality of a road every 10 years and then do adjustments. But since these haven't been done in so long, we're trying to break that up over a 10-year period. So we've done the first 2. Next year is going to be a bi-year, and then we'll see where we go from there. But just in general, that's the whole purpose of the road improvement projects. So again, sorry I sound like a broken record, but thank you for hearing my spiel. I feel like I'm getting it more condensed every single time I do it.
Any other discussion on that? Okay, next up I got is an update on the Case Road storm water improvement. We already heard a little bit about it. It's in the design phase right now with the county. I know they had some issues where to tie it into that, and the county reached out to myself and the public works crew to help them with some storm drain cleaning and getting into a manhole that was pretty difficult to get into, so they can review some of the structures over there to see where to tie into to start designing the project. That's all been done last week or so. And the breakdown, I know we showed a $1.1 million. The breakdown is our revenue that we're going to put in up front is the $354,996. Then the county engineering, they're going to be in-kind work of $171,772. Then we'll have a grant that will receive $442,314 from the grant. Then we'll have a loan of $147,438 at the end. That's how that kind of breakdowns as estimates right now.
And that'll be one that we did do 10-year interest loan.
Yes, that'll be, the $147,000 and odd will be an interest-free loan that we can stretch out to 10 years. Then the next thing I have a discussion about vacation of alley south of Dunbar Drive. I had a resident reach out to me wanting to vacate that alley. So when we bring it up at a board meeting, the board will authorize me to look into a little further if they choose to. So the resident is present here today if he wants to discuss anything about it.
Well, the alley that in question, Clinton Township doesn't take care of it anymore. They don't mow it. The residents have to mow it if they want to. And so, and what it is I've got a camera out there and I'm getting activity. People walking up and down through there from 1 to 5 o'clock in the morning from, I don't know where, but they're going back and forth. And Obviously, these people aren't going back and forth to work, at least not a legal job. So it's just a inconspicuous way for people, to get around, doing illegal activity. And what I want to do is put a gate up there to stop all this foot traffic, in which the gate could be opened, for access if, for utility companies. It would not keep anybody from access to their property or the utilities, either one. So that's kind of what we want to do.
What's your name?
Excuse me?
What's your name?
Rick Minturn, Minturn.
I recognize your last name a little bit.
Excuse me?
I recognize your last name, Alan.
Yeah, well, my dad retired as a lieutenant on the fire department here, and my uncle was interim chief of police at one time and an officer. And so, I mean, I was born on Dunbar, so I've been here for 70 years.
All right.
Just an update from the public. Now, when I took over the Public Works Department 2.5 years ago, this is one of the areas that I looked at fairly soon. It is growed up back through there, it's right away. There's some utilities in the area. There's already residents who've gated off or fenced across the right of way, so it's not accessible in all the area to take care of. Once you get down towards the old railroad tracks, it's really growed up, a lot of trash back in there, even on the railroad, which Columbus owns now, and that's where the new path is going to go, the Linden Green Line. So hopefully that'll clean a little bit of that area out there, so, I mean, it's either, we need to clean it up and make it, have people take their fences and stuff down and maintain it, or we may consider vacation of the alley. If the board wishes, I'll move forward, getting some information on how to do that.
So, explain the big.
Vacates where we give up the right of way, it shares, half of it goes to each property owner. The property line actually repositions. There's utilities there, so the utilities easement will still be there. If the city has utilities back through their power company, they will still own that right of way, so they will still have to have access to them utilities. But it will fall back onto the utility to manage that. And, this is something that the board doesn't decide to do. It's a board's decision to pursue it, and it ends up with the county commissioners as the ultimate factor of whether it gets vacated or not.
I have a random question. I'm not a decision maker, but if this passes, does surveyors have to come out to each parcel and update the residents?
No, that would be up to the homeowner.
And your idea for a fence, like to stop people from coming in, is that like, is it a secure fence? Or,
It'll be a chain link, 6 foot tall, but it'll be gates, so they can be open, for utility easement, although there isn't an entrance. I mean, that alley is supposed to go all the way down Dunbar, all the way to the end. It hasn't been like that for years. But it was still an alley behind our house there is a road called McKendree, that's about halfway down Dunbar. And from McKendree to Cleveland Avenue, that alley had been open and the township had mowed it like once a week. They'd have somebody come back here and mow it, maintaining the alley. They don't do it anymore. Now, unless the homeowners go back and and mow, it just grows up wild. Yeah, cars can't get through there.
So it's been many years since a utility truck has ever driven back there. Like, do they don't trim the trees even, or? do they do it by
No.
hand?
Oh, excuse me, I have seen them back there in the last 5 years. And they would have access to that.
Yeah, they do know that, with the easement they have to.
Yeah, I mean,
Because I have an easement and they couldn't fit the truck in the back, so they did it by hand. I wish they trimmed a lot more.
even if they couldn't get my gates open,
just-
they can enter through the Cleveland Avenue, and there's entrance on both ends. So I mean, they would be able to go all the way up. They just had to come in, one way and one the other way. But yeah, I mean, even if the gate didn't open, they still have access to it. I'm just trying to stop the foot traffic through there in the middle of the night. I mean, these people are up to no good, okay? And it just leaves us out there for theft and people wandering around the backs of our yards.
I mean, maybe the other option would be is that we can look into that we clean up some of that area ourselves, maintain the right of way, and allow gates to be put up. That may be another option.
Yeah, I don't specifically want more property added to my property, I can care less about that. I just want to stop the people from, having access to my backyard like that.
I don't think it'd be any- Sorry.
That's totally understandable.
Excuse me?
I completely understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, and it'd be different if, like I said, if they took care of it back there, but all it is just grown up in weeds and it's just a haven for people to inconspicuously move around the neighborhood.
I don't think it'd be any financial loss to the township to not have this be our responsibility anymore. And we know, we have done this before with other owners, but it is a process.
Who would pay for the upkeep or maintenance of the gates on above
If,
entrances?
well, like I would keep up behind my place because I've got a garage there. I want access into my garage, so I have to maintain, that the alley up to my property anyways. But the township doesn't do it no more. As far as the township's concerned, they've washed their hands of it and it can grow up. So I maintain it to get to my garage anyways.
Now, do you cross anybody else's property to get to your garage? Or,
Yes, one property.
see, now if it gets vacated,
But actually, he takes care of his own. He mows behind his property, I mow behind my property, which allows us to get in halfway down Dunbar. You got McKinley there, if you're familiar with it. That is a legal street right there. It looks like an alley, but it's a street.
and my concern is that if it's vacated, you may lose access to your back of your property. Because if you.
No, they have to, it's a law. You are not allowed to build a permanent structure on a utility easement.
Correct.
Okay, so nobody could build a permanent structure.
Yeah, but I'm saying if it's vacated, that means half of that, if it's a 10-foot right of way, 5 feet of it goes to the one neighbor, 5 feet of it comes to you, so you would be narrowed by 5 feet.
I understand.
Then if you got an adjacent property owner that you have to cross to come to, they may not want you crossing. So to vacate it, you may lose all your rights to get to the back
I
of
really
the
don't
property.
know about that.
Yeah, so that's something we, take in consideration before you ask to vacate it.
I'm guessing the whole strip has to maintain the utility easement, so I think that couldn't happen, but it is something to consider and think through.
Yeah, because you could be,
Doing it and then finding out otherwise.
if you didn't get along with your neighbor, they could say you're trespassing to get back to your property. So that's one thing the vacation of that alley would cause. You would
Okay,
have
I understand that.
limited access
Never really
to.
thought of it that way.
Let me do some research on it, take some pictures back there. And the best thing is maybe we need to just start maintaining the sections back there. I know it's probably going to upset a couple of the residents because there's fence and stuff they have back through there. They're gonna have to remove their fence.
Well, if they
or
just
gates.
maintain from McKendree up to Cleveland Avenue, the part from there going
Is a nightmare.
east has never been taken care of. Okay, you have the apartments, midway down, and then from there, it's houses, and they've virtually fenced it off. It's been like that since I was a kid. There's never been an alley, it's supposed to be an alley, but there's never been one.
I think at this point, I just need to research a little bit more and see what it's gonna take to clean it up, get it maintained. Then it may be, we have to look into whether we allow a gate going across there or not. We'll get with legal to see if that's something we can do. And get back to the next meeting, or I'll get back with you in between also.
Yeah.
Sound good? The next thing I have in the Public Works Department, we have Omar Vargas. He's coming up on his anniversary also on the 11th. So I'll be doing a review for him shortly also. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and move to appreciation. I have a couple. So on Friday, or last Friday, I did an incredibly long ride-along with our police from 7 p.m. till 7 a.m. I actually made it to 6:50 a.m. and I went home and crashed. And while it's not a surprise, I was absolutely blown away by Officer Wallace and Officer Bingham. Their professionalism, their incredibly calm demeanor in situations where I think most people would not be calm, was just amazing to see. Like pulling over an alleged intoxicated individual, a car chase that started in Franklin Township, watching one of our officers deploy stop sticks, a stolen vehicle report, someone passed out on Cleveland Avenue that had a severe head injury at 4:30 in the morning. I think it just shows that we have amazing supervisors. So Sergeant Burr, I'm glad that you're here because you are one of our supervisors and I know that you're third shift. We just have an amazing police department, and the fact that they allowed me to be with them for 12 hours was great. We are just a really lucky township to have the type of officers and supervisors that we have. And listening to, which also amazed me, is as the car chase was happening and we were in the cruiser trying to figure out, what do we do? Do we take part? Is it here? What if he doesn't come this way? Whatever. And listening to the dispatcher, and then what I'm assuming was the Franklin Township officer, and then the county got involved, and it was absolute teamwork. And it was it definitely was not perfect communication, but almost nothing was missed. And it was it happened so fast.
that it was just, you know, being able, like, I'm not a police officer myself, but, you know, being able to watch all of it happen and how the relationships specifically between our deputies with Franklin County, because they have an office in the back, just like that level of respect between law enforcement agencies is just one of those, like, it's just amazing. I don't know, it's like all I can say, but, they did great. So Sergeant Byrd, you should be very proud, especially of yourself for being an amazing supervisor. Our officers are definitely prepared to be on the streets, and that makes me feel really good. And it makes me feel really good for our township and for our residents and for our other employees. So thank you.
Side note to that, since we're doing appreciations, just so you're aware, Sergeant Reeves is our last supervisor to complete the FBI LEDA Trilogy course. That's the Law Enforcement Executive Development Association through the FBI. That covers courses on sergeant level, patrol level, command staff level, and executive level leadership. It takes about a year to complete that trilogy course. So all the supervisors here in Clinton Township have now been through those courses. And last week I sent the Board of Trustees a notice as well. We've completed all of our Ohio State Collaborative law enforcement executive training as well. So we are one of the agencies in Franklin County that have completed all steps.
Was the second training or the FBI leadership course, and then what was the second?
The Ohio Collaborative, the law enforcement certifications for the state of Ohio.
Any other appreciation? I mean, mine are small, but I want to thank Chief Fraley and Dave for coming out to 999 to look it over with me. It was very nice of you guys to do the whole drive. It's not exactly close, and you guys work here, so thanks for doing that for me. Did we get the verbiage? Any other comments or questions?
Okay,
You can go first.
this is where I can share concerns. Okay. My name's Beth Earl. I live on Lamont Avenue, and I've been talking to Mr. Quigley about the homeless encampment across the street from me. And I'm here, I guess, to share concerns and hope that you guys are going to do something more about it. They've not put out the trash in a year. The trash is all in the back. I mean, it's worse today than it was last week. It's a humiliation for our township. As I have people come to the house, I have to start with, I'm very sorry, but it looks like across the street. There's got to be rats back there. There's a hole in the roof. We've watched raccoons running in and out. I don't think the lady and her child who used to live there are even there anymore because I haven't seen them. I know the township was helping her out, taking her cat food and helping her a lot, and while I appreciate that, they're struggling. What's going on there now with people using drugs in cars, you can see that they covered it over, so the other day when it rained, it's a hazard. And I really need something done about it. They're passing out cars, they're fighting, one day they're driving a car up, chasing somebody, trying to hit it in the front yard. It's out of control. Now in the back of my house, from the alley, people are coming from the apartments now, passing out behind my house, like literally passing out. I assume they're using meth from the behaviors beforehand. And I get, our police are wonderful. I know you guys are overworked, but I used to see the police come down the alleys back there, like sit at those apartments down there kind of, and I feel like that presence probably helped a lot. And I'm not looking out my window every day, all day long, but I can't tell you the last time I saw a police officer in that alley or on my street. And I know you guys probably do, but I just feel like that presence, just even driving up and down there occasionally would help a lot. You know, I've asked them to not be back there, they're leaving trash, it's just a matter of time before they leave drug paraphernalia back there.
I know about the house you're talking about across from Lamont, and had the little girl. Our social worker was working with them, and yes, they have kind of disappeared. I know the house, our code enforcement is aware of that too. There's situations where they've abandoned that property, so we have to check with Mr. Quigley, the code enforcement, to see where that is in that court process.
But there's two people living in the backyard.
Yeah, no, and again, without her being there, we have to have an owner to legally evict them, or we have to go through court, and that's something that code enforcement can do through either probate or the county. They have them come out so we can legally remove those people. We had to do that on Sale Road about 6 or 8 months ago, and then we were able to board the house up. So I think she's abandoned it. We haven't seen her.
I haven't seen her in probably 3 weeks, 4 weeks maybe.
Yeah, with discussions with Dan, I believe he's working with Franklin County on that environmental court to get that going. I believe he's looking at getting close to foreclosure also, the property. So hopefully with the new owner, things will clean up there.
It's gonna take you a month to clean out all the trash.
I didn't catch your last name, but
Earl, EARL. Is there a way to get a little more police presence over there? I mean, they're a little more quiet during the day, they're out there doing some stuff, but at night is when it gets a little bit more sketchy.
That's our night shift sergeant sitting right here.
You drive down Lamont, please? Thank you.
That's okay, I got the address, I know the address. Yeah, I mean, we've been there, we've dealt with her for months. I mean, we're kind of aware of that property. But yeah, we're, we have another officer that's been out on leave. Hopefully we expect her back sometime in September. But, we are running that little bit.
Can you do down the alley too? I mean, you guys used to go up and down the alley all the time, is that stopped?
I mean, I can't speak for everybody. I hit them, but again, I work from 1 p.m. to 7 a.m., so you might not see me all the time, you know what I mean? But I'll pass them along.
I appreciate it.
Yep.
What is the, what's the address of the apartment building that backs up to the alley near your residence?
I don't know, there's that whole little group right there, there's like 2 apartments right there. I mean, it's no drug area, I mean, you can watch people going by the drugs and leave. But then they come down the alley, which I feel like it used to be more closed off somewhere by the apartments. I think something maybe allowed that access again. They put some gates up by the apartments. But they just, I mean, there's a garage that backs up to the alley behind my property, and that's where they sit, because it's a little bit of an overhang, so when it rains or whatever, and they pass out.
And are those Cleveland Avenue?
Yep, 3663.
I just want to thank you for coming out and speaking. I appreciate it.
Hi, my name is Michael Good. I live on Rhoda Avenue over on your west side, walking distance to 999. So I have a nice little trek all the way over here. After listening to her, mine is probably going to seem pretty petty about my complaints, but I came here to kind of talk to this. So I have two things that I was hoping to address. So I've had a little bit of a frustrating week. I've given a couple of you guys a call, left some voicemails. The 3rd and 4th of July, Franklin County Sheriff's Department failed me. So I was nearly assaulted by some individuals on Chambers Circle that were firing off fireworks at about 11 o'clock at night. Called the police. There was no one available for them to send here, because apparently fireworks, the only way that you can charge somebody for firing off fireworks is to have the police present while they're doing it. My ask is, like, I've seen you guys come out for Halloween all the time. You guys have an excellent presence for that. Because I've been in the neighborhood for years. I actually went to college at Ohio State and lived in the neighborhood in 2005, and then moved back, bought a house there in 2015. So I've lived here for quite a while. We used to have some crime issues, and you guys have done a phenomenal job taking care of that, Halloween, stuff like that. I'm just kind of asking that maybe looking to the future at some of these more major holidays where there are a lot of drinking and stuff like that, that there might be police presence over there. Because I was a little bit frustrated to find out that my call was being directed to Franklin County, and they said, we're dispatching an officer, and I got a call like an hour and a half later saying that, well, he got sidetracked to something more important. And it was more important. I get it, it's more important than people swearing at me and threatening me when I tell them to stop shooting off fireworks. 11 o'clock at night, because it's driving my dogs crazy. And they were just right there, right across from 999. Like literally looking at 999, all the lights off, everything's dark. And there's just no one to help me for that. So I'm just hoping that in the future, maybe on these major holidays, I get Columbus has changed with fireworks. Their policy has changed, I understand that too. But their policy says, I believe it's either 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock. And they were going pretty late, and they were all incredibly drunk college students. And I get it, they're having fun. But Several points.
So Bobby all reached out to me as well. But yeah, the state of Ohio, the state legislation, we used to be able to, I mean, we would cite people, take fireworks from people. When they legalized it, there's not much we can do. I even touched base with the fire chief on state marshal regulations that maybe the fire department could enforce. They have nothing that they can do. The city of Columbus proper jurisdiction, they do not allow fireworks. I live in the city and I had stuff going off until 3 in the morning. And yes, I understand that frustration, especially when you need to be up to be at work at 6 the next day. So yes, I do feel the grievance. On the legal side of it, we've been getting calls about people smoking marijuana next door to neighbors and it's drifting into their house. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do with that right now either. Apparently, there's some guidance maybe coming from the governor's office or legislators on where you can, it's like drinking outside an open container. That's illegal in some areas. So where we have some of the issues with the law right now from the state level, and unfortunately the townships, we only cite from the Ohio Vice Code. City has city ordinances like Columbus, they can pass the no fireworks. And I think when I talked to some of our neighbors, I think it's either, 11 o'clock, and there's only certain days that fireworks can be set off. And even after those times, we are really not sure what guidance under the Ohio Vice Code we have to cite somebody because there's a time standard, but there's no punishment for the execution of writing someone a ticket for that. And there has to be those levels for us to enforce that.
So noise ordinance, how does it not violate it?
We don't have a noise ordinance.
Ohio Revised Code does not have a noise ordinance at all.
Not under state code. Some cities have adopted them, and there's been a lot of fights in the appellate courts.
So do we not fall under Columbus's noise ordinance then at all? So we don't fall under that, we fall under, so my next complaint is about this construction that's going on. This construction company is arriving at about 6:15 in the morning. And as I mentioned earlier, I have a dog that does not like fireworks. You know what he also does not like? Giant trucks parked, hovering, literally parked within 10 feet of my house. So I've had a lot of discussions with Franklin County engineers. I've gotten to know 2 of them pretty well, Mark and Mike, and I will be continuing to have some conversations with them. I talked to Dave earlier last week about it too. Columbus does have a city ordinance, and the Franklin County engineers have a noise ordinance policy that I was able to find that says that they're not allowed to start construction before 7 a.m. But they are clearly starting it well before that. I had a Bobcat moving this morning at about the bulldozer type of Bobcat moving at 6:30 this morning, going over the speed bumps that are now extra twice as big. So I was asking if the police department would respond tomorrow and make sure that they're not actually violating that policy. But if there is no sound policy, then I kind of have a problem with that. Because my dog, he's 3 years old, little black lab pointer mix, and he's full of spunk and he's extremely loud. And every single morning he's getting woken up to giant vehicles driving down the street and hovering. And I'm really frustrated at Franklin County Engineer's Office about this, and I'm going to be having a very long conversation with Mike there about that tomorrow because he was supposed to call me back today and did not. I'm going to have a very long conversation with him tomorrow because he told me that he was going to talk to the construction company about not being in front of my house. I had 13 vehicles within 100 feet of my house today, and they had already peeled off Rhoda. So 13 vehicles along with a Bobcat bouncing over the speed bump that's about 50 feet away from my house. He's doing that at 6:30 in the morning. So I am hoping that your guys' police department will respond. I'm going to be talking to Franklin County Sheriff's as well tomorrow. I had a message in with somebody and they did not call me back as either, so I'm going to be calling them back again tomorrow. But I'm hoping that maybe you would be able to send somebody out there to make sure that it's, I'm just trying to ask to be able to calmly sleep in until 7 a.m. when their own policy says that they won't start till 7 a.m.
That's something I'll defer to Dave Medley here with. He's kind of liaison with the engineer's office. I don't have anything to do with the Franklin County engineers or road projects.
But you would for noise ordinances, right? And you're saying we don't have any noise.
No, we don't have any noise ordinance.
So I could play my music as loud as I wanted to at 4 a.m.
I'm going to explain something to you. There is a way around it. So when we have the college parties and there's loud music playing at an unreasonable time, say 11 p.m., 12 midnight, we will go over and talk to those folks and ask them to turn the music down. If we get several calls and complaints where we can document that it's been, what's the word I'm looking for? A nuisance, or it's,
And like, if they continue to be a nuisance, right?
So 2 days, giant dump truck parking 20 feet away from my bedroom window on average. Is that a public nuisance?
where people have alarm or they're annoying, it falls under, not a noise ordinance, but disorderly conduct, such as the parties and the beer being thrown out in the street, things like that, where the college parties will go on. We will come over, we have to give people a warning. Past that point, it's the owner of the home or the person in charge of the home that we decide.
I could argue grinding my street off at 7 o'clock in the morning is a little louder and more annoying than beer cans being thrown in the street. Just to be a little sarcastic about it, but I'm just really frustrated that there's dump trucks out in front of my house. And this morning, after they should have talked to, the Franklin County should have talked to them, and I know it's not your guys' issue. I'm just very frustrated with the situation. I wish there was something I could do. I'm not gonna be taking it easily the next 2 weeks if my dog's waking me up at 6:15 in the morning barking.
Carol, I'd like to make a comment. I live at 8th Avenue, right where Rhoda goes around again. As far as the noise, okay, maybe they're supposed to start at 7, but it's July, and it was 90-some degrees the last few days. If these guys can get out and get the job done at 6:15 in the morning, that's okay with me. This is a temporary project. It's not gonna be going on forever. It's what, Dave, about 1 month for them to get this work done?
It'll be done quicker than that.
Yeah.
By the end of the month. They're hoping to have a lot of it done by the end of this week, but I know we got rain coming in. I don't see them getting done by the end of this week. I think it's not gonna be another week. or so.
I've lived in the View since 1978. This is only the second time that they have repaved the streets. And if you've driven through the View, you know that they were getting pretty rough in some places. So, yeah, it bothers me too. I'm an old person. I don't have to get up at 6 in the morning, but it's waking me up. But that's okay. It's a temporary project.
Well, the problem that I have with it is it's against Franklin County Engineers' own rules. They say that their hours of operation according to their policy is 07 through 10.
Okay, again, we'll go back to the weather.
But you might be okay with it. I'll tell you right now, I'm not. And
That's
I'm allowed to
fine.
have an opinion.
That's fine, but I'm just asking you to consider if you have
I have considered it, and
a
you know, at
person who
6,
is working on a roof or on a street, running that heavy equipment, the more they can get done before midday, when it shoots up to 90-some degree, that's miserable. I used to work outdoors.
you know what the amazing
Yeah,
thing
that
is
is-
though, is this construction crew, the Franklin County Engineers decided to do this construction here in July. So they know the weather of July. And they apparently decided to do it on July 2nd and then notify us all July 3rd with signs on the streets.
Well, would you be better off if it was done in September?
Yeah,
mean,
I
there's
would.
still
If it was
no-
done in September after 7 o'clock, I wouldn't have a single problem with this whole entire thing, other than they're violating their own policy. I thought there was a noise ordinance that covered our area because almost everywhere else has a noise ordinance, and it starts at 7. That's the reason why you don't have people running lawnmowers at 7 o'clock in the morning, is because they think that there's a noise ordinance. I don't appreciate having a bulldozer and a dump truck
I don't
hovering in
either.
front of my house, and I get you don't care, but I do. And fortunately, we live in
No, I-
America where I get to have an opinion,
I
bring it
am
up,
happy
and I'm
for
glad
you.
you brought up your opinion.
I'm happy you have your opinion.
Rick,
But
do you
it
want
looks
to?
like a first world problem.
It definitely is a first world problem, but you know what? I live in America and I get to have that problem, and I get to address that with my county officials. And you know what? I get to come to this meeting every single month, just like you do.
I would say just for the time being, suck it up. It'll be over in a few weeks and then
Thank you.
it's done.
Okay, yeah, fortunately, I'm in America and I don't have to suck it up. So I will be continuing to call the police and file noise complaints
That's fine.
and come to these meetings to talk about when stuff bothers me, because I have that
How about coming to a few meetings? You
I'm gonna
seem
come to
like
a
you-
couple more. I
Well,
just found out about this. A lot of you guys know. I'm really excited.
Listen to me, why not come to a few more meetings and get involved in some of the activities that the township has?
Are you on next door?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on next door.
I put stuff, I'm Bobby Holt, president of the Civic Association. I put almost everything related to the township and the Civic Association on Nextdoor. And anybody, I've got an email address over there, I send mass emails out about everything. I don't have yours though. If you want to give me your email address, I'll
I'll
put you on
sync
my
with you
list
after
and I
this
can
and I'll
make
get added to that.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been on Nextdoor for a couple of years and that's how I found out
Yeah.
information about this. I was just very blindsided by this one. Apparently, the same as the township was blindsided by this issue. I was a
Yeah,
little
well, I
surprised
put-
when they're
Well, it was
notifying
over the
us.
weekend, I put the stuff on there about the paving because I knew the signs were up, but a lot of people didn't know why they were out there. So I sent a mass email out and put on Nextdoor all the information, so people would know why the signs were there and why they weren't supposed to park out in front, so.
Yeah, I also follow
So,
the Facebook.
Mr. Good, I'm glad you're attending these meetings. Speaking is a privilege that the board grants people. So we're gonna get to Mr. Minthorn now.
Yeah.
And they're gonna go into executive session and we can hang out here and fight or sing, whatever we want.
Oh, I have no more comments, but thank you.
Mr. Richard?
Okay, well, first of all, the city of Columbus has an ordinance. I mean, I am retired, I ran heavy equipment for the city of Columbus. We wasn't out on the streets till 9 o'clock. Right? There is an ordinance in the city, but nevertheless, why don't we have these ordinances? I know, I've dealt with the code enforcement. I mean, Dave's familiar with the property I'm talking about, and he just said tonight, well, we don't have any authority. Why don't we? I mean, this lady here, that's a public health issue.
Can't do ordinances.
Why ain't the health department involved?
Home rule would help with some of these things, not 100%. Home rule gives the government more teeth, more tools, particularly around code enforcement things. I lived next to a pack rat for many years, had rats come in my house because of it. I don't know if home rule would make that problem go away or not. I'm hopeful it would. It's a complicated conversation, home rule. Anybody else know?
Ain't the township allowed to have its own ordinance?
Yeah, townships in the state of Ohio they cannot make or create their own ordinances, they can have resolutions. So like, for example, if we do home rule, there are certain things we could do as far as a civil penalty, like noise ordinance, like more of the parking issues that we have in the township. Right now, we have to rely on the prosecutor's office and anything under state law. Now, with like the situation on Lamont, that's where he does get Franklin County Health Department involved, and also people down at the environmental board that would represent the township in putting the case together. Under home rule, those are some things we would have to have a law director for here in the township that could then assist us in making those resolutions. But we just can't, I mean, I would love to have a noise ordinance because you would, I mean, on the weekends, sometimes in the summer on the west side, it's crazy. But there's certain things we can do to kind of skirt not having that. But then the prosecutors downtown want to know, well, did you do this, did you do that? That's why I said, one person can't call in a complaint, we shut down a house, but we gotta have a couple complaints because we aren't allowed to use our ears when we drive down the street and then make assumptions about music.
So this home thing you're talking about is what was discussed earlier?
There's a lot of pros and cons to both sides of home rule.
Yeah, I mean, why don't, I don't understand why somebody don't grab the bull by the horns and take off with this.
It's been an opportunity. I've been here 11 years. I usually hear people want it,
Who
nobody's
wants
pulled
to
a
know
petition.
He said, why doesn't somebody pull the bull by the horn? And I was like, it's this lady right here. Go talk to her. She's
Yeah,
the
but
one that's
nothing's been
running it.
done. I mean, what do you gotta do? Start going to house, pass out
No,
flyers or?
We can talk once they go into executive session.
Yeah. They'll be happy to talk to you once we go into executive session. So if you guys don't mind, do we have it verbiage?
I texted it to you.
Okay.
But who wants to read it?
I'll read it.
Okay.
This time, a motion to adjourn into executive session pursuant to the Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22 G1 to consider the compensation of a public employee.
So moved.
All right. Trustee Green?
Yes.
Trustee Jasper?
Thank you, guys.
So really do stick around, this talk is helpful if you want.